Welcome to the Wise Take DFS podcast. I am your host, CK013. You can find me on Twitter at CK_013. And I'm joined once again, it's been a while, but once again, by one of the Wise Take truest OGs of OGs, Mr. Paulie D. You can find him on Twitter at Paulie with 8 Ds. OG show, brother. We haven't done this in a long time.
I can't remember when the last time was.
It had to be like, I don't know, basketball season? Maybe like last baseball season, maybe? That might be more accurate. Maybe last baseball season. It's been a while, man.
It's been a long time.
It has. It has. The late night OG show. As Johnny would say, a treat for the nation. Oh, we have fun with Johnny, man.
And we got a monster slate to deal with.
Monster slate, last podcast of the week, so it's a good way to end it. You know, you and I have both been, I mean, the whole nation's been hot, but you and I particularly have been pretty hot, so we have a nice little slate right here, I think, that I'm excited to break down with you on the first look, of course. We got the expert poll to do, so this will help. Did you see? Like, we were obviously, like to mess around with Johnny and have fun with him, but tell me you caught that the 4th of July podcast when Johnny was like, yeah, I'm a fan of America. That was awesome. That was an awesome line. Yeah, I'm a fan of America.
Big fan of America.
Big fan of America. That was awesome. All right, Paulie, let's go ahead and jump into this. We do got a 14-game slate to break down. We're going to start things off with Dan Straley of the Miami Marlins visiting Gio Gonzalez of the... Oh, what did I do with the freaking lines? Of the Washington Nationals. I just deleted all the lines somehow. So we're off to a wonderful start on the OG Thursday night show. Excuse me. But I'm pulling it up right now. And we've got a total of 9. Washington minus 215, 81 degrees, 60% humidity. What do you got, Paulie?
Depending what Gio's pricing is on different sites. Do you have his DK price? Handy?
Yeah, 9.5. You said Gio, right?
Yeah, Gio.
Yeah, 9.5.
Yeah, 9.5. I know we got a lot of studs on DK, but he's viable. Like any pitcher versus Miami's viable these days. If you want to go like a double mid-tier approach, he'd probably be a guy you could look at. More than likely, by the end of the show, he won't even be in the picture. But, on first look, on first game, like, you can use him against Miami. Miami's been striking out. Miami's just been bad. And they scored a bunch of runs today, so they're probably good for the next couple of days. And then on the other side, like, I'm going to keep riding this Nats hot streak. Like, they got down 9-0 today, and they won, so we're probably looking at taxed bullpen. And, if they can get to Straley, it's probably off to the races again. So I will play all the Nats. Soto would be a guy I'd be targeting. Matt Adams. That was a nice call on Matt Adams today, dude. He had like 3 or 4 hits.
Thank you.
One of my really low-owned, high-scoring players today. And, the usual suspects, Harper, Turner. But I definitely like the Nets bats, too.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Nationals are hot. It's not going to be as hot, but it's still very humid. It's still pretty warm. I think the ball should still carry a little bit. That was impressive, man. To come back from 9-0, like, you don't see that very often. That was crazy. Like that, and to win by 2 at that. Like, it's not even like you just came all the way back and you won 10-9. Like, you put up 14 runs? Yeah. That was wild. Trey Turner had a monster day, obviously. The Nationals' offense seems hot. Straley still doesn't seem like he's quite back to himself just yet. I think we could still pick on him. And, like, it's not like he's an elite guy anyway. I mean, he's decent at times last year. But this year, he's been rough. I'm with it. Let's ride these Nationals. We've been saying for the longest time that they're going to get hot. They're going to get hot. And when they, maybe they're starting to. Because Trey Turner wasn't having that great of a year. He had a pretty damn good game. Matt Adams comes back his first game back right off the bat, getting hit. So we'll do the profiling tomorrow. But right now the Nationals offense seems like they're in play. Gio's interesting because I think that nobody's going to want to play a pitcher against the Marlins after what they did today. And, we did hear in the Wise Take Nation that Hellickson, there were rumors that maybe he wasn't feeling well or something like that. And I know, Paulie, I know for a fact that you had interest in, Bohr, Dietrich, some of those guys who did well for
those
Miami.
Two.
Right?
Yeah, I played both of them, Dietrich and Bohr, and It was very nice. Bohr put up 25 or so. DK, very, very nice. And, Dietrich put up 14 at 3.7. It was a nice start.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I definitely think, if anything, you'll get Gio at a really low ownership. Problem is, you got to decipher, is Miami hot, or did they just take advantage of a weaker-looking Hellickson? It looked like they were hitting pretty well, but they scored that 9 runs, and then it kind of they did end up scoring 3 more. But there was a little gap where they kind of didn't score runs. So that's what we got to decipher when looking at Mr. Gio Gonzalez, who's looked terrible. Next up, we got Nick Pivetta of the Philadelphia Phillies visiting Trevor Williams of the Pittsburgh Pirates. Total here is 8.5. Pittsburgh minus 102 at home. 78 degrees, 46% humidity. What do you got?
I could definitely look at Nick Pivetta here. Hasn't looked great lately, but he's pretty good versus many righties. We'll see what kind of lineup Pittsburgh puts out. They could throw a bunch of lefties, so, it depends. And he's another one of these mid-tier kind of price guys, which I'm not sure if that's the route we're going to go. I mean, I really have no idea what's deeper in this slate. I just know you told me there's a lot of big names. More than likely, we're going to try to get one of those guys with some cheaper arm. But, a Pivetta is a guy you could pair with a Gio if you wanted to go that route. Don't think I have much interest in Trevor Williams. Don't think I have much interest in many bats here. You could do a Rhys Hoskins, Adabel, Carlos Santana, Nick Williams kind of stack with Philly, but this is not really the best park on this big of a slate. I don't think you're going to look at too many bats here. And with Pittsburgh, I don't think I've played a Pittsburgh bat in a long time. If I did, it'd probably be a one-off kind of situation. That's really it. Maybe Nick Pivetta. If we get good see how the humidity looks, see what the lineup looks like, and maybe a Philly stack, but otherwise, not too exciting here.
Yeah, I agree, man. Not really exciting at all. I think Trevor Williams at 6'6" doesn't have enough upside. There's other guys at his price that I think we're going to run into. And Pivetta 8'4", it's interesting. He's kind of in that mid-tier, a lot of arms up top that we're going to be interested in. And, it might be tough to get there. But it's a great part for pitching. And the offenses really don't excite you because of the park. So, for the most part, to me, seems kind of like a scratch-off on a 14-gamer. Next up, Sonny Gray of Paulie D's New York Yankees visiting Sam Gaviglio of those Toronto Blue Jays. Total here is 9.5. Toronto plus 125 at home. 72 degrees, 43% humidity. If they open up the roof, there may be 14-mile-per-hour winds blowing in. If they open up the roof. We'll have to see what they do in Toronto. What do you
got? Yanks are hot. We could probably look at those bats. Aaron Judge, Aaron Hicks, Stanton Didi, Andy Harbird. We are missing Gary the Goat and Gleyber Torres right now, so maybe a slightly weaker lineup. Sam Gaviglio, has he been pitching? I feel like we haven't seen a ton of him lately.
Yeah, I feel like that too. Or it looks like, I guess he's been pitching out of the bullpen?
Out of the bullpen? Okay. I think he throws a lot of sinkers. The Yanks are probably going to profile phenomenally against him. The Yanks can get to striking out. Maybe if the roof is open, he's a cheaper arm we could look at. But I don't think so. And then I don't really have interest in Sonny Gray. I think Toronto's starting to warm up just a tad. Maybe we'll look at Granderson, Solarte, Teo Oscar, the Freak, Justin Smoke, Kendrys Morales, if he's in there, I like as well. And even some of these guys towards the bottom. Grichuk, Lourdes Gurriel's been hitting well since being called back up. I like the bats on both sides here.
Yeah, I think if they open up the roof, that's gonna like push me away from the bats. Gaviglio is actually in this exact spot. I pitched Gaviglio earlier this season at like 4.5, and he went out there and
Yeah, I
got me
remember.
20.
I remember that.
It's going to be tough for him to do that again, but we do know the Yankees typically struggle a little bit more on the road. If the roof is closed, I may have to back off here and look elsewhere. But if they open up the roof and there really is 14-mile-per-hour winds blowing in, I could look at both of these guys. Sonny Gray has looked a lot better lately, and I prefer him away rather than in Yankee Stadium. It's not the greatest pitching park, but it's a lot better than Yankee Stadium. And if he has 14-mile-per-hour winds blowing in for him, maybe he can do all right. But I think I would consider Gaviglio mainly because I know we've got so many expensive arms up top today for DraftKings. But I'm gonna be paying attention to see what they do with that roof. That's gonna matter to me if there's really 14-mile-an-hour winds blowing in, which are projected. So we'll have to see which way the wind blows. Like how I did that there.
Yeah. Very nice. Very nice.
It just came to me, you know. Paul Blackburn of the Oakland Athletics visiting Carlos Carrasco of the Cleveland Indians. Total here is 9. Cleveland minus 180 at home. 75 degrees, 50% humidity, and it looks like they're also projected to have 16-mile-per-hour winds blowing in from right center. What do you got, Paulie?
This is going to be Carrasco's first start, right?
I feel like it's his first start in a while, yeah.
Yeah. You know, that's going to require a little bit of research, see if he's thrown any rehab assignments, yada, yada. But I think on paper, this looks like a pretty good spot for him. Not sure what his price is across the industry, all that good stuff, but this would appear to be a decent spot for him, right? So, yeah, he pitched a month ago against the Twins. I mean, I have interest. I definitely have interest. You know, we shall see if there's a pitch limits, that kind of good stuff. But if there's not, you know, if he's fairly stretched out, then this is a spot we could definitely try him in, because I expect him to be ahead in line for the win, because I do like the Cleveland bats here. Paul Blackburn, not a very good pitcher, gives up a lot of contact, all that kind of stuff. Cleveland's at home, where we know we like them, and Cleveland's been pretty hot. So, you know, if we can pitch Carrasco, I'd have interest. He's got great history against Oakland. Lots of strikeouts in this lineup. At 10-8, that's kind of like a little discount, too, off of the, you know, off the higher end. And he's got, you know, 30 DK point upside, maybe more, if you count the win, that kind of good stuff. So I definitely have interest in Carrasco, none in Blackburn, and I have significant interest in the Cleveland bats. I guess if you're building many teams, I guess a dart in a donkey on Oakland might be worth a shot as well. Like if Carlos Carrasco's not right and kind of gets lit up his first start back, you have that little hedge there. But they're like super cautious with him. I doubt that they would, you know, throw him here without like him having a handful of rehab starts and looking ready to go.
Yeah, man, I think we could definitely consider him. I know he's a guy we typically like to play on the road, but that seemed to be more of a last year thing. It hasn't seemed to have that big of an impact this year. So I think he's in consideration against the Oakland A's, who, while they can be dangerous, they do present some strikeout upside. Cleveland, like you said, they're home. They're going up against a guy that doesn't strike guys out. This seems like a great spot for him. But with winds blowing in at 16 miles an hour, you know, could be tough to play him. Obviously, the main reason, like if they were cheap, I would chance it. But Lindor is 5'9", Ramirez is 5'8". Like, it's going to be very, very tough to be able to stack these guys. And with 16-mile-per-hour winds, if it doesn't work out, you're just going to feel like crap. But they are home, where we like them, and they got a guy that doesn't strike people out. This seems like a good spot for Cleveland when they're at home for sure.
Yeah.
Next up, we've got Bartolo the Goat Colon of the Texas Rangers visiting Jordan Zimmerman of those Detroit Tigers. Total here is 9.5. Detroit minus 110 at home. 74 degrees, 36% humidity. We have 13-mile-per-hour winds projected to be blowing out towards right, but almost like kind of towards the foul pole. So it's kind of like, you know, Could be ineffective, could be effective. We'll have to see. What do you think, Paulie?
Zimmerman 6'7". I mean, if Zimmerman was a tad cheaper, he could be one of those cheap guys we looked at. He's actually been in pretty good form lately. A couple 20s in his game log, like kind of surprising, like 3 out of his last 5 starts, he's gotten over 20, 14 in there. His worst start was against the White Sox, where he still got 8 points. I mean, I'm sure we can find better spots on the slate, but that's pseudo-viable, I guess. Believe it or not, this might be a decent Bartolo Colon spot. Righties have just been doing really well against Detroit. We're looking for somebody cheap. Always risky, but, Bartolo Colon, he likes to just show up every now and then. Let's see if he's faced Detroit at all recently. Put up 11 versus Detroit on May 9th. I think we'd taken 11 at 5-2 and able to get like a DeGrom or a Sale. It's a good park. And, I mean, Detroit's lineup is like falling apart right now. It's like Matuk, Victor Martinez, Jim Aducci. He's like a 34-year-old, like second-year player. Iglesias, McCann. There's really, like, outside of Nick Castellanos, there's really nobody you're really scared of. Very rarely do I ever recommend Bartolo Colon, but he's viable. No bats.
Yeah, I agree, man. I think Bartolo is viable. I mean, he's, we're looking for expensive guys, and like taking pitchers against Detroit really isn't that bad of a deal. In fact, even Gallardo today, like until the rain delay happened and he had the little break, like he looked good. He came back for the rain delay, kind of fell apart, but before that happened, like he was mowing him down. Like he didn't seem to have this too bad of a problem. And I honestly do think Bartolo was a better pitcher than Gallardo. I honestly do. He's a veteran of the game. He knows how to get in and out. There's a reason that this guy's still pitching this long. I mean, Gallardo's been around a long time too, but Bartolo ain't getting sent to the minors. That dude's been going back and forth. Bartolo's getting himself contracts here and keeping afloat. So I think it's as weird as it is, 5-2. I think it's viable against Detroit. Zimmerman, I think I could pick on with some guys. Like I don't mind like a Shin-Soo Choo one-off or maybe like a Nomar Mazara, but I agree with you. I don't think I want to pick on him too bad. He's looked pretty good lately. And at 6'7", I think we could consider him. My only problem is Texas against righties doesn't strike out that often, and he's not in the 5s. He's like 6'7". That might be a little too expensive for me. But if we can't find other options, I think that he's somebody we can come back and look at.
Yeah, like I don't see spending $1,500 more off Bartolo.
Right. To get like the same result or similar result. Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Next up, we've got Ryan Stanek of the Tampa Bay Rays visiting Jacob deGrom of my lovely, lovely New York Mets. Total here is 7. The Mets are minus 165 at home, 82 degrees, 46% humidity. Winds blowing in from left field at 10 miles per hour. I don't know who the relief guy is due, but we know Stanek only goes like 1 or 2, so not sure who they're going to bring in here. What do you think, Paulie?
Yeah, I mean, it could be Austin Pruitt. He's like the only guy it could be. Like, what's his face, the lefty? Like, he's starting now, so he's not going to be in these bullpen games. You know what I'm talking about? Yarbrough. And then Andreezy pitched like 2 days ago. So Austin Pruitt's really like the only guy, or it's just a straight up bullpen game. And I mean, deGrom is firmly in play here. The Rays have not been good all season long, although they are scrappy. We'll see like the K percentage in the lineup with whatever they put out. Good park, winds in our favor, not too hot. Doesn't look like there's much humidity here. The only problem is like, you just don't know if he's going to be in line for the win. That kind of like could reduce a few extra points from him. It's such a shame. DeGrom is just so awesome. But DeGrom's been like probably like top 3 pitcher in baseball this year. And I mean, he should have really no problem with his team. just he's pricey, so like you need him to, be the top scoring pitcher on the slate when you go to him. And the fact that you don't have a win kind of hurts. And, we'll see. I mean, there hasn't been a ton of bad spots yet. So, like, as of right now, I'm fine with DeGrom. But if there are bats that you're going to want to pay up for, like, there's a couple guys we've already talked about that are slightly cheaper that are fine as well. What do you think?
Yeah, I love DeGrom at home. Like, I think DeGrom will have a good game. But the question is, because we have so many other good arms, like I also think we can find somebody who's a better point per dollar value. 13K is a lot of money. It's not like today where Verlander was clear far and above, like the only guy who has a certain ceiling. Like this is different. We've got a lot of different guys who have pretty good ceilings. So like, and on top of that, like to go out there and expect that DeGrom can get a ceiling, knowing that his team is so anemic for offense and the Mets struggle for wins, he may not get the win. There's not even a good possibility he's going to get the win. So, like you said, so I do think that he's obviously in play. If you can make the bats work, like if I can afford DeGrom because the bats worked out that way, then great. But I don't think I'm going to try to force him in necessarily. I think I am going to try to see if we can find some better point per dollar options. Because you're right, he's 13K. And the Rays, you look at the numbers all day and it'll tell you how bad they are. But they're scrappy, man. They're just one of those teams, man. They're just really, really scrappy. They just... we've seen some really good pitchers struggle against them. There's no explanation. I will say they're worse on the road, and we do got to take into account that they are losing a DH. They're going to have the pitcher batting. So that certainly helps DeGrom's case.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that is.
So, again, I think DeGrom's going to do well. It's just a matter of if we can afford him. That's what it's going
to be.
Although,
they may not have many pitchers batting if they're in a bullpen game. Like,
that's true. Yeah,
may just be like, all right, Stanek, you pitch 2 innings, and then when the pitcher comes up in the third, we'll pinch hit for you.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Those bastards.
Yeah.
Next up, Reynaldo Lopez of the Chicago White Sox visiting Lance McCullers of the Houston Astros. Total in this game is 8. Houston minus 275 at home. 89 degrees, 60% humidity. Houston doesn't like to be hot, so they typically close that roof, but we'll have to wait and see. What do you think, man?
I mean, Lance McCullers is firmly in play here. The White Sox strike out a ton versus righties, and he likes to strike dudes out. $1,100 discount off DeGrom. Like, right here, this is a tough decision, right off the bat. So that's something we're going to have to do, the profile, all that good stuff. White Sox can wake up, but this is probably a prime spot for McCullers with all the breaking stuff and all that good stuff. And then Houston bats are, we're going to dive into also. They could be interesting here. Like, I don't think Reynaldo Lopez is that great, but they have not gotten it going. Springer's been just cold, and, they got some injuries making the bottom of their lineup a little bit uglier. Bregman's hot. Altuve seems to be waking up. Gaddis had his hot streak. I think that's kind of over now, but as like a whole unit, they just don't seem to like have it all going. So I don't know if I'll come to the Houston bats, but they're like somebody we're gonna have to think about because Reynaldo Lopez can get lit up. I just don't know if this will be the best spot.
Yeah, I agree, man. Houston is just like they're not doing it with power this year. Like last year, they were more like the Indians, or the Yankees, where like you would take 3 or 4 guys and you would expect 3 or 4 home runs. This year, it's been more like if you're taking them, you have to make sure that you're taking guys that are like somewhat close in the order because there's a good chance only one of them's going to hit a home run, and if the other guys get there, it's going to be through like small ball, doubles, singles, RBIs, walks. So, like, they're still good. They're still a good team. They're still a good offense. But for DFS, they just haven't been. They've been more of, like, a one-off, like, find the home run, and that's it. Because I agree. I don't think Reynaldo Lopez is good. I know he throws hard, so we'll have to take a look and see how they hit hard-throwing, hard fastballs. But I have to say the same thing, man. When I look at Houston, I really don't get that excited anymore. I look at Houston, and I'm just like, oh, boy, here we go. Like, like a team that should do it and probably won't. I think today, the only guy that really did well for Houston was Altuve, only guy that hit an actual home run.
Altuve hit a 2-run home run. I know that. Yeah.
Right, and like I don't think anybody else hit a home run. I think Bregman had a double. Like I'm sure some of these guys had okay games. But when you look at their prices, and you're going to pass up on the Indians or the Yankees or some of these other guys with mega upside at the same prices, it's tough to go to Houston. It really is. And I think McCullers is in play against the White Sox. The White Sox are still fighting. They're still kind of hot. Like they scored some runs off Verlander, but they are still striking out. So you know what you're going to get there. He's either going to have a great game or he's going to end up with like 8-9 strikeouts and giving up 5-6 earned runs. It ain't really going to matter at that point. But he's in play. Just one of many.
You know that Luke Weaver's got a perfect game going?
Does he now? Luke Weaves.
You played him,
Weaves. Didn't you? I did play him, yes. Unfortunately, I played him with Max Fried, so the offset is real right now. Yeah, but I didn't realize that is pretty cool. We'll see what happens there, but yeah, man. Once Max Fried happened, I just flipped over. I started watching like Netflix, and I'm just like, that's that. Yeah, and
I'm done.
I knew it was going to happen. Yeah, and we talked about it. 40, like he's not a guy that should be chalk. Did it anyway. Ironically, he wasn't even in the tournaments I played in. Shelby Miller was actually more popular than he was. More people went with Shelby.
Yeah, I mean, the secret's out, kind of. Not, it's like he hasn't been good in a while, but on this slate, you could have went there for sure. Yeah.
Next up, we've got the return of Dylan Bundy of the Baltimore Orioles visiting Lance Lynn of the Minnesota Twins. Total here is 9, Minnesota minus 120 at home, 81 degrees, 43% humidity out in the Lake State. Great Lake State? No, just the lake. I don't know. I know the Lakers are initially from there. That's all I know. So I'm assuming there's a lot of lakes. I'm assuming there's a lot of lakes over there.
A lot of lakes.
What's up?
Let me see if I can find any pitch limit information on the Bundy man here. I don't even remember what his injury was. Do you?
I think it was. No, I don't. I was going to say something appropriate, and then I remembered. It don't matter. It don't even matter. See, I was thinking. I was like, we only do live streams together. So we do the podcast. I was initially this is the live stream. We can go all out. And then I remembered that no, it's not. It's the podcast. And I held up.
I
we was on the same page though, apparently.
Yep. Bundy was able to complete another bullpen session Tuesday after initially landing on the DL with an ankle injury. Since he didn't experience any ill effects, Buck Showalter confirmed that he'll be a go. Yeah, I mean, ankle injury. It's not like he's been on DL all that long. It's been like a 10-day kind of thing, so he's fine. Typically prefer lefties versus Minnesota, although Minnesota is just like another team that hasn't really gotten it going this year. And, I guess we could probably, it depends on the profiles look. Umpire, that good stuff. But I guess Bundy's viable at 9.3. Lance Lynn's going to be viable as well, although like at 6.4, I think I'd probably end up just pivoting to a Bartolo, as scary as that is to say, for like a similar result, although he's been pretty solid this year. And, Orioles don't have a ton of lefties they can throw at him, which is what he's weak against. So this is probably going to profile out as like a good spot for Lance Lynn. Maybe Dylan Bundy's rusty and you want to take some twin bats against him. I would look at like Logan Morrison, Eddie Rosario, Eduardo Escobar, Jorge Polanco, Max Kepler, Ryan Dozier, the core like 2 through 7 kind of bats in this lineup. That's really it. I don't think I'm going to have too much interest in the Baltimore Orioles, who let us down today.
Yeah, Baltimore sucked today. And I think Lance Lynn is viable. Like you said, very right-handed team. He's 6'4", don't love the price, but he does have a little bit more upside than some of the guys that are priced around him in the right matchup, and this could be that. And Dylan Bundy, I think he's got the upside, and you're right, the Twins haven't been as good, but the Twins do have a lot of lefties, and that is a pitch that is something Bundy has struggled with over his career. Big fly ball guy. I think this one can go either way. Again, like you said, the issue with the Twins is that they just look like shit. They don't look good. I mean, even today they scored some runs off Cashner, but it wasn't pretty. It was like it was very like rough. Lomo, the only one with a home run. So I think that like Rosario, Escobar, some of these guys stand out. But like the guys that we always used to love to play for Minnesota, like mainly Brian Dozier, has just been a huge disappointment this year. Just a huge letdown. But this is a lot of lefties, so you would think this would be a decent spot. And I don't think they would be too popular just because, number one, it's a huge slate. Number two, obviously Dylan Bundy is a pretty good pitcher, so I don't think people would go there. But there is some home run potential for show when looking at Mr. Dylan Bundy. Next up, this matchup's interesting. Michael Foltynewicz of the Atlanta Braves visiting Freddie Peralta of the Milwaukee Brewers. Total in this game is 8. Milwaukee minus 125 at home. 73 degrees, 40% humidity. We'll see if Milwaukee opens or closes that biatch. What do you got?
I mean, this is going to be a great spot for Folty. Maybe not great, but good. They are kind of left-handed now all of a sudden. Brad Miller's been hot, and he's like a new left-handed bat. We were just getting like Oswaldo Arcia, which was like an automatic out. For like a guy like Folty now, it's Brad Miller, so that's kind of annoying. And like Thames, Yelich, Shaw, VR, who did well today. So they can get a little more lefty than they used to. And like Folty's just dynamite to righties. You know, lefties, how you want to pick on him. You know, I don't know how this lineup looks strikeout wise versus righties right now. Like you would think Brad Miller would add some more strikeouts, but he's been doing well since he came back, and he's been hitting for power. And Freddie Peralta is like another kind of a tough spot here. I don't think I'll go there. You know, like Atlanta is probably not the right matchup for Freddie Peralta, especially at 10-2. You know, so like he's out. I'm not going to go there. I think Folty's still in the conversation, especially we got to see what kind of lineup we get and what kind of umpire we get. You know, I like Folty. I think he's almost elite. And if we get like a nice strikeout lineup with a good pitching umpire, all those things line up, he's like another guy that, you know, like off of DeGrom, get a big discount, could help with the bats, and you know, could match him point per dollar kind of style. So Folty's definitely in the conversation. I'm going to say no to Peralta, and then maybe even we attack Peralta a little bit with some of the Atlanta bats. I mean, he really throws like a ton of fastballs, and then he's got like a curveball or a changeup. This might be a decent spot for some of these Braves. And like the Braves are a team, I think you just want a full stack nowadays. Like, you know, they're not really using a ton of power, so you need like all that correlation to like really get like the full effect of the stack. So it's like 4 or 5 man stack with the Braves. And like, you know, Enciarte is viable, you know, leading it off, stealing bases. Obviously, Ozzie Albies and Freddie Freeman are going to be in your stack, and then Acuna, Camargo, Markakis, however this lineup comes out, whoever happens to be a catcher. You know, and like if the stack works and you get the worst part of the Milwaukee bullpen, like all that good stuff. So I'm fine with the Braves stack if you want to attack Freddie, if you think, you know, like this is not the good lineup for him. And Folty's a maybe. We'll see. I think I'd go to Houston's pitcher McCullers first if I could, but you know, it's a little bit more money. You know, if I couldn't afford McCullers, then I'd probably look at Folty here at 10-5.
You know, this is going to sound funny to you, Paulie, but I actually have interest in Freddie.
Okay.
Atlanta has been striking out a good amount lately. We saw Chassis today.
Does sound really funny to me.
Oh, yeah, I know. I'm the guy that, like, about a week ago, you couldn't pay me to take a picture against the Braves. But going back to Domingo Germán, like, keep in mind that these guys did give up some runs, but going back to Domingo Germán, he was able to rack up a lot of strikeouts. Then even today, Chassin, who I don't think is that great of a pitcher, was able to rack up some strikeouts. Interestingly enough, you're right. Freddie throws a lot of fastballs, which is a little worrisome, but he also throws a lot of curveballs, and that's a pitch the Atlanta Braves really don't hit well. Their whiff rates aren't great, but I do think Peralta's curveball is slightly above average. Well, not slightly. I do think it's above average. So maybe if he can generate a few whiffs, I really don't think anybody's going to go to Freddie Peralta. which adds to his value a little bit. And he's 10-2, which seems expensive, but in comparison to some of the other arms that we're into, is attractive to me. So I think I could consider him. I would have to definitely profile it, look it out, but this could be a sneaky kind of spot. He did have a monster 30-point outing against the team, the Pirates. Now, the Pirates are a way worse offense, but they are another one of those teams that don't really strike out, and he had no problem racking up the Ks. So I think Peralta could be interesting. I agree with you on Fulte. I definitely think he's in play. That guy is just got massive strikeout upside, and he's done well. And like you said, the Brewers do strike out a lot. I don't like the fact that Yelich is back. He obviously puts a damper into that a little bit. Travis Shaw should be in the lineup. He doesn't strike out a ton. Both of those guys are left-handed. Fulte in the past has struggled with lefties. This season he's done a much better job against them. But I think that Peralta interests me a little bit. I definitely want to look into that a little. Next up, tell me what you're doing with Chris Sale, all 14K of that ass, of the Boston Red Sox, visiting Jason Hamill of the Kansas City Royals. Total in this game is 8. Kansas City plus 255 at home, 89 degrees, 40% humidity, 10-mile-per-hour winds blowing in from center. What do you got? Ooh, perfect game is over. Alan Henson hit over.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. I needed that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. It was a 2-run shot, actually, so it got ruined before that anyway. Infield single, then a home run. There you go.
That's the reason I told you, because I wanted to ruin it. Yeah, nice, dog. Stuff is happening.
Stuff is happening.
All right. A couple more points. Get this second lineup into the money here. Make this a really nice day, actually.
No way.
Hang on one sec. I just wanted to see something here, but did you say plus 255 for Kansas City?
Yes.
Yeah, all right. That seems low, doesn't it?
A little bit. Some places have it at 272. Some places got it like 255. That does feel low, yeah. For Chris Sale. Right. I mean, like, doesn't an 8-run total kind of seems high, too? Honestly, for this ballpark, wind blowing in. I know it's in. I'm sure that they're counting on the Red Sox for most of the damage, but still, it seems kind of high.
Yeah, I mean, like, this seems like the nut matchup. Like, Chris Sale's just been on like a dominant run of late. Like, I mean, I think you have to say like he's been the best pitcher in baseball like recently. Like, if even over Max Scherzer recently. Like, right now he's been the best. Maybe Max will catch him. Like Max was doing better earlier, but I mean he's just got like a string of more than 10K games. I think like 6 of his last 8. Doesn't matter who the opponent is. Could be the Yankees. Could be whoever. Like he's in the zone, and this single A or Royals team, we don't even know if Moustakas is going to be in the lineup, although it's probably not even a good Moustakas spot. Like, they've just been horrible, so he's firmly in play. It's just like, can you afford him? And that's really what the challenge is going to be. It's going to be like Chris Sale, and player X, whether it's Bartolo or if we find someone else. Or do we get like, Peralta, Foltanovic, or both of them, and like weigh out which one scores you more points and which one costs you less, which one gets you a little bit better bats. Like, there's no way I'm going to say it's not a good play. It's just like 14K is a lot. Like, you need like a 35 for him to pay off his tag there, and he should get it, and I don't see why he wouldn't. But it's a lot. It depends on the rest of your lineup. So, depends. I mean, we haven't really seen a ton of bats yet that we've really liked. So, we'll see. I guess these Boston bats are going to be in play here. Jason Hamill, not very good. This is a big park, and it doesn't look like it's like optimal hitting weather. I mean, sure, Benintendi, Betts, JD are fine. I don't think I'd full stack them here in this park, though. Maybe grab 1 or 2 guys. But if you're pitching Sale, you're not playing those bats, that's for sure. And I would lean to Sale over those bats in this spot. And just no interest at all in anything on Kansas City.
Yeah, I agree. Too many spots. I'm not trying to get cute and play anybody against Kansas City. I'm sorry, against Chris Sale from Kansas City. Chris Sale, I agree. Similar to DeGrom, I think he's going to have a good game. I think Sale is obviously a little safer, of course, and has the upside because he's got a really good offense behind him. Should get the win. But it's a matter of if we can afford him. Obviously, 14K is a lot of money. But you're right, there hasn't been a lot of bats so far that we feel like we need. So I guess it's possible that you get there with value bats. Because we haven't seen a ton of stacks that we're like super excited to play. But I agree, Chris Sale should have a monster game, as he has been doing. Paxton faced these guys recently and destroyed them, So another lefty with strikeout upside. And I think Sale could do the same. It's just a matter of, can we find somebody who's cheaper that gives us a better point per dollar production and puts us in a better position to win. And if you don't think it's out there, Chris Sale is definitely the safest option on the board. And the Red Sox are fine, big ballpark. I don't think I wanted to go too crazy stacking them on the road, although I will say it's a high total, and I don't think the Royals are going to score very many runs here. So we'll have to see which way that total goes, see if that line goes up any further, but maybe the Red Sox could be in play if they're going to be low owned. They're, of course, expensive, so it would be very tough to play them and Sale together. Next up, Joey Lucchesi of the San Diego Padres visiting Zach Godley of the Arizona Diamondbacks. Total here is 8. Arizona minus 140 at home. What do you got, Paulie?
Every pitcher that's right-handed against San Diego's in play. How did the dude on Arizona wind up today? I know you played him.
Which one? Shelby Miller?
Shelby Miller, yeah.
He ended up falling apart. He started off okay, then he just got beat up a little bit. I'll tell you exactly. He did get 7 Ks, but he ended up only 3 earned runs, so he didn't do terrible. He gave up 5 runs total, only 3 were earned. He did get 7 Ks though, and 5 in the third.
Yeah, 15.8 at 6.7, right? You'll take that.
Yeah.
Zach Godley's a better pitcher. He's in play, 8.6, almost cheap. We've been talking about it all year. Like, something just doesn't seem right with Godley. Like, velocity's down. Like, he hasn't been as consistent. But right now, I'm in a streaming pitchers against San Diego until something changes mode. Like, I stacked the San Diego bats yesterday in the early slate, and I had a really good team. Like, it was like one of those slates where it was like 1 o'clock, a couple games, and most of it started at 4. Coming into 4 o'clock, like, I was already in the money with like 3 bats and my whole team to come, and I was like, this is going to be good. Most of those bats were San Diego. I stacked San Diego, and I learned the hard way that is just not a fun thing. We made money stacking San Diego for like a week earlier this season, and like that might have been a bad thing because it might have like made us like San Diego a little bit more. And like what we should have done was like be like, all right, we made our money for them on the season, never again, and like now I've realized. So yeah, Godley's in play. I don't think this is the right spot for Lucchesi. Arizona, like, although they have not really been very hot, with A.J. Pollock in the lineup, they're pretty dangerous. And then, you knock Lucchesi out, and some of these lefties can come into play. Paul Goldschmidt's hot. Like, no. So, really just Godley, though. I'm not, like, super pumped about Arizona bats outside of, like, a Goldie and a Pollock.
Yeah, I agree. Lucchesi, I don't know if Lucchesi is as dominant as the Padres are hoping, but I do know that he has a funky kind of delivery, and he could be one of those guys that kind of gets by on that a little bit. I don't think he has bad stuff. I think he's decent, but I don't know if I could hang my hat on playing him with so many awesome pitchers on the slate. And with the D-backs offense, I agree. They weren't really able to hit what's his name today, Lauer.
Lauer. Yeah, Lauer.
The D-backs weren't able to hit Lauer, who I do think is a lot worse than Lucchesi, but at the same time, Lauer wasn't able to strike them out. The D-backs don't really strike out a ton against lefties, especially with Pollock back. So I don't think I want the D-backs offense all that much. Don't think I want too much Lucchesi either. I think I'm with you. I think Godley is is really the only thing from this game that stands out at 8.6. And if you're trying to do the mid-tier build, he definitely would be the preferred option so far. This can't be right. But it says Kenta Maeda is visiting Felix Pena. This part is obviously not the weird part. We don't have a total or a spread. The part that I'm saying can't be right is Fantasy Labs has the weather projected for 105 degrees in LA. And that just like never happens out there. I know that like I know my family lives in San Diego, and I know that they told me there's like a heat wave going on over there. Mm-hmm. But it says 105 degrees according to this. If that's true, that's going to be interesting in this ballpark. It's not. It doesn't call for any humidity, but if that's true, things could get wild for these two teams. What do you got, Paul?
Oh, it's true.
Is it really going to be 105 degrees tomorrow?
103, yeah.
Oh my gosh, in LA. Ooh.
Excessive heat warning.
Wow.
Means in effect from 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. in Los Angeles area.
Wow. Interesting. So this is like obviously a huge park that normally has like that marine layer and all this stuff. This is going to be different. It's going to be very hot and dry.
I don't know how like the marine layer thing exactly works. I don't know if like temperature changes with it or not. Do you know?
No, I don't. I just know that normally we have a decent amount of humidity in LA with like, you know, lukewarm temperatures, and today we have like no humidity. I know like God forbid, but I know this is like the wildfire scenario that they have over there, those wildfires they have over there when it's usually hot and dry like this. So hopefully nothing goes wrong. But I get the idea that it's going to be a little more dry than it usually is.
So it's like a better hitting environment.
I would think, I think just from the heat alone, I think it's going to be better for hitting. Obviously, humidity and heat together is great, but just the heat alone is going to, make the air kind of spread out more, less friction, and the ball should carry more than it usually does for sure.
This is an interesting spot because like these are 2K upside kind of pitchers, and Felix Pena is super cheap, and he's been impressive and striking guys out since getting called up. And Kenta Maeda, he can strike guys out, but these are two kind of warm offense. I mean, Dodgers have been the hottest offense in baseball, and the Angels have actually been putting up runs and starting to heat up, and now they're getting healthy. You know, Cole Calhoun is back and starting to heat up. Showtime Ohtani is back in the lineup. Trout's injury seems to be done, so like, you know, we got two interesting pitchers against some good offenses. Don't know what to do. Honestly, it's kind of like a cop-out, but without research, I don't know. But, like, everything's going to be in play at this moment. Like, the Angels, like, Cole Calhoun, they haven't risen his price. That's a nice value bat at 3-2. Louis Valbuena, this could be a spot for him, with the ball carrying a little bit more against Kenta Maeda. And then, the Dodgers, just like, what can you say? I mean, Max Muncy, like, putting himself in the MVP conversation right now. Cody Bellinger, Jock Peterson, Yasmani Grandal, like, the list goes on and on. Like, they've been incredibly on fire, and, like, the rookie pitcher. So, I don't know what I like. I just know that there's something I'm going to like here. I just got to dive in a little bit more.
Yeah, man, the Dodgers have been really good to us over the last few days.
So good.
So good. It's not going to take much for us to want to play them. Obviously, like, there is a little bit of an issue with this guy throwing as many sliders as he does. He throws a lot of sliders, and his slider's actually pretty solid so far this year. I know we have tiny samples, but so far this year, his slider has a 63% whiff rate. And that's actually a pitch that while the Dodgers can hit, they do have high whiff rates as a team. So this can go either way. I definitely think that this heat is going to make us want to attack with bats. I don't think too many people are going to want to play the Angels regardless because Kenta Maeda on the other side. But they've been so ass. It's like they've been a tough team to play. Like, they go off at the weirdest times. Like, right? Like the other day during the day, what was it, 4th of July during the day?
Yeah.
They put up like 6 runs when everybody else was struggling. But
yep.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta think that this game is going to be viable for bats with 105-degree temperatures. Like, I feel like we got to take advantage. That never really happens in Anaheim, and at least not that we don't see that very often. And I think that the Dodgers have been red hot. Doesn't take much to want to play them. And because of the hitters boost, and you got to figure that not too many people are going to be on him, you got to think you can get a super low angel stack. And it's late, man. You get a little late night hammer action. I like that. I like the fact that it's late, last game going. I like it. I think it does. Herman Marquez of the Colorado Rockies visiting Felix Hernandez of the Seattle Mariners. Total here is 8.5. Seattle minus 125 at home. 71 degrees, 54% humidity. 10-mile-per-hour winds blowing out to center. What you got, Paulie?
Herman Marquez against Seattle. Maybe. He did throw a gem in his last start. Made me look bad, so maybe he's back in play, especially if Mitch Haniger's out of the lineup again. Zunino went on the DL, so this Seattle lineup is rapidly falling apart. At 5'8", that's probably going to be very interesting tomorrow. See how the profiles look, but you take Haniger out of this lineup, and we're starting to get pretty ugly here, and we do need some value at pitching, so I think he's firmly going to be in the conversation. Felix at 7.5, that's just a straight no. Not that I would need to attack him, but I think you can grab like a Charlie Black or Nolan Arenado. Felix does have a little bit of trouble with the long ball. Definitely not a full stacking situation, but a one-off or a two-man is fine. And I don't really see anything I'm going to be interested in on the Seattle side. So it's Marquez and maybe a bat.
Yeah, I agree. I think we can look at Marquez. You can see tonight, and with Haniger out of the lineup, Zunino out of the lineup, you can already see that they're struggling to put up runs against Barria. So even though the profile was great, and it's a guy that they've hit before. So I agree. If I'm sure those guys will be out again, and it's going to hurt this lineup a little bit. So I really don't. I think Marquez is in play at 5'8". He showed us that he has a little bit more upside than maybe we initially thought he did. And yeah, King Felix, I agree. I had no interest in pitching him. I don't necessarily have to pick on him. I don't think I would want to come here over that LA game. But at the same time, I don't have an interest in pitching him. Last game here, Paulie, we've got John Gant of the St. Louis Cardinals visiting Derek Rodriguez, son of Pudge Rodriguez of Johnny's San Francisco Giants. Total here is 8. San Francisco minus 110 at home, 68 degrees, 60% humidity. What do you got?
I guess Gant is like another cheap arm in the conversation, but I'm going to like him less than Marquez, than Bartolo even, and he's 1,000 more. San Francisco's just scrappy. They're healthy. They're not striking out anymore now that they're healthy. Like, he's not the arm I'm going to go to for cheap. Not that attack him much with San Fran bats, but you can do another one-off two-man. Brandon Belt, Brandon Crawford strike me as interesting, but like Johnny told, actually no, they've been bumped down now. Today they were still priced like they're still in cores, but Brandon Crawford's at 4.3, Brandon Belt at 4.7 on DK. I don't mind that. Alan Hansen's a nice value bat who just homered today, and he's just been crazy hot lately. Joe Panic's another nice value bat. And then Derek Rodriguez, that's interesting. He's kind of like in an island spot, though, at his price. It's like he's not cheap enough to pair with the expensive guys, and he's not expensive enough to really pair with, like, the mid-tier. And now that we're at the last game, it's like, I don't think we've liked a single game for bats. So, like, it's I don't know. I think it's going to be like get as good pitching you can and then go kind of value style. Matt Carpenter, I guess, is a bat you can take a look at. The rest of this lineup's pretty right-handed. I mean, Derek Rodriguez is probably fine in this nice park. If he gets a good ump, there could be some strikeouts. I don't think we're going to land on him. But maybe like on a late slate or something, he's definitely in play there.
Yeah, I think on the I think on the late slate, I consider both of these guys, just because the Giants they struggle and they do score a lot of runs in this ballpark, so maybe they bounce back after having a game in. But I think on the late slate, both these pitchers are viable. I do think that the Dodgers so far are the team that I think I really want to try to get in there. Don't get me wrong, I think this Peanut kid, like, his numbers aren't the worst, but I do think that this is like a unique situation where I do want to try. I mean, this guy's had good games against Arizona and then Baltimore, but he hasn't gone more than like 70 or so pitches. And the Dodgers are a tough team to strike out. I think that like that's probably my favorite game for hitting so far. I just have to sort out who the hell I'm gonna want. This is like the issue. But 105 degrees, I want to give it a shot. But outside of that, I'm with you, man. There's really not like another stack or anything out there that I'm like super into. And I don't want to play guys just to play them.
I think the Indians is like another one that I like.
Yeah, they're at home going up against a bad pitcher. That's true.
Yeah.
And they're very expensive. So, yeah, if you're not stacking the Indians, if you're not stacking the Dodgers, then I agree. Then you might as well just load up with the best pitching and go at it. But if you're interested in stacking the Dodgers or Indians or both, we're gonna have to work and find some cheaper guys that we can roll with. You know,
this is a tough slate. This is a real tough slate. It's like
it is.
You know, I mean, whenever there's 14 games, 13 or more, like it's just there's a lot of options. It's hard to cover a lot, especially the way we play, building like 2 to 4 lineups, something like that. It's like, you know, it's probably better for mass multi-entry. And then, I mean, there's just like so many good pitchers. So like, you know, not only do you got to like pick the right of all these good pitchers, then you got to really do your homework and find the right bats. You know, just on the surface, this feels like a day you go a little lighter and, you know, just, you know, get some action to have action, come back out to fight on Saturday where you get some smaller slates, split up, pick the one you like kind of thing.
Yeah, man, I agree. I definitely agree. But you know what? We're going to have a strategy session tomorrow, which reminds me to let everybody know. If you haven't already checked us out at whitestate.com, I don't know what you were waiting for. Come rock with us, see what it's all about. Tomorrow is the last strategy session of the week, and then we'll pick it back up on Monday. But come check it out. This is definitely a slate where you're going to want to do that. Even if it's to determine how much volume you actually want to play today, the strategy session is going to be what you're going to have to do first to determine that. So if there's opportunity, we will find it, and you're not going to miss the boat. And if there's not an opportunity, if it turns out to be as tough as it looks on the exterior, then at least you'll have the right tools to get going. You'll be prepared, and you can then determine with an educated determination whether or not how big or heavy you may want to go or light. But $2.50 all it costs to get in for a day. We will have the expert poll. We'll have the. I'll be writing the GPP article tomorrow. We'll have the Y stream. We'll have Johnny's cash article. Everything's rocking. And again, this DFS strategy session at about 1 p.m. Eastern. Come rock with us. $2.50 all it takes to get in. If you like a deal, though, if you want to save some dough, we are still honoring the Independence Day sale. So the promo code is Independence Day with no spaces. It's one word, Independence Day, as in 4th of July Independence Day. And you'll get 25% off of the year-long, monthly, 3-month packages. Anything that's a month or longer for any of the sports that we have right now, you will save 25%. We've had a few people take advantage of it. And when you actually see the numbers, you realize it's actually probably too good of a deal. It's probably something that we, probably a little bit too big of a discount, but we've been known to do that because we love the nation so much, and because we're DFS players, man. We're not freaking marketing Mongols. We're DFS players. Yeah. So, Paulie, anything to add there?
Is this the Johnny Loves America discount?
It's the Johnny Loves America discount. Yes, he's the fan of America. Johnny is a fan of America.
I'm a big fan of America.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. All right, Paulie, let's do some. Let's play some Dog Watch, or yeah, we'll play some Dog Watch here.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if we normally do top threes on the podcast. Is this crazy that like I do these every night and I don't remember if we do or not? Isn't that wild? I'm pretty sure it's just Dog Watch.
I don't know. I think it doesn't really matter. You can do whatever you want. It's like your show.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. You know what? We're going to do some Dong Watch because it's kind of hard to make those stances right now, right? Like, it's kind of hard to, like, say, like, my top 3 pitchers. Like, I don't know, man. We got a shit ton of pitchers. Just going to narrow it down to 3 people right now. It's kind of like, you know? So we'll do the Dong Watch. Who's your first pick?
All right. I am just, like, blown away by this guy, and I'm just going to continue to ride him. And it seems like no one's really been playing him either, and that's Max Muncy.
Oh, yeah, man. That guy's a freak of nature right now. Oof. I'll go with Cody Bellinger, sticking in the same game. Get a little hedge life, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Let's see. Coincidentally, Felix Pena has the highest home run per 9 on the slate. So
I like that.
That helps. game that like I kind of glossed over early in this pod, and I'm probably gonna have to reassess and go back, is the Yankees bats, and I will go with Aaron Hicks. Stay hot against Sam Gavig.
He has been hot for sure. I'll go with Mr. Shuhei Ohtani against Mr. Kenta Maeda.
Oh, wow.
A little risque.
A little Asian on Asian crime?
A little Asian criminalization there. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I got to stick with my Asian fam. Asian folk. I mean, I'm not Japanese, but still. Asian is Asian, right?
Asian is Asian.
But I'm still a bigger fan of America.
Last guy I will go with is give me Paul Goldschmidt off Joey Lucchesi.
Goldie off Lucchesi. I'm gonna cop out here a little bit, and I'm gonna go with Mr. Mookie Betts. It's because I feel like I got a 50-50 shot at being right when I say that guy's name. And that is gonna do it for the Wise Take DFS podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, please click that thumbs up, that like button. Subscribe to the channel. If you're watching us on Facebook, give us a like and a share to support the Wise Take Nation. If you're watching on Twitch or Twitter, give us a follow, give us a retweet. If you are listening to us on Podbean or iTunes, give us some 5-star reviews, help bump us up those charts. Support the Wise Take Nation. Keep us going. Allow us to continue to do these free shows for you guys. And all you got to do is show us a little bit of love, whatever platform that you use to listen to the show. Paulie, anything in closing before we get up out of here?
No, nothing really. But 30 people were in that strategy session on Tuesday morning. Like, I'm assuming people got jobs. I'm assuming they're sitting there with headphone in, pretending to be working. But that should start to tell you, like, people are getting value out of it. And I think if you're trying to help your DFS game, that's the best place to start. Other than that, the nation's been real hot. I mean, you and me personally, this is probably the best month to almost 2-month streak we've got going now. And it's a good time to get involved and win some money with us.
That's it. Come rock with it. The boat is going. Don't miss this. For Paulie D, for myself, the entire Wise Take Nation, as always, good luck.